the holidays are here. How did that happen? Here we are. I don't know, it snuck up on me. I don't know if it did you, but it snuck up on me, despite the fact that we have been seeing holiday Christmas ads since, before Halloween, I think. They've been coming. Since September, they've been coming. But nonetheless, here we are. It's December. It's the 4th of December. We have 21 days left before Christmas. And out there in the world, and maybe out there in our world, it gets a little frenetic, gets a little crazy, it gets a little extra busy, and we have so much to do, so much to do in so little time. I think actually the song was So Many Men, So Little Time. I think that was actually the name of a song I used to do high impact aerobics to, I believe. But anyway, that's not where we're going today. Sorry. So much to do, so little time. Don't know why I flashed to that song and doing high leg kicks and aerobics. There we go. Back. Bring it back. Bring it back. It's done. It's gone, and we've lost it. All right. So what we're going to do here, even though it may be crazy out there and a little bit right here, but we are going to take all that activity that's going on out there, and when at least we're here on Sundays, we're going to bring it in. We're going to bring it into a deep, rich, I'm going to say transformational place. Every Sunday this month, which as Lonnie announced will only be 3, because we are doing something we have never done in the 22 years of this church's existence. We have never not had a Sunday service, but we are not going to have service on Christmas so that all of our staff and our volunteers can just not work on Christmas Day. We just thought that would be a nice thing, and so no service on Christmas. So for 3 Sundays, we're going to go in and go deep on a prayer that was spoken by, really, the man whose birth we celebrate this month. The prayer that was written by Jesus, that is called a couple of different things, but the name I grew up with was the Lord's Prayer. It's also called Our Father. Some people call it Our Father. But we're going to look this month in different ways every week, this prayer. And Emmett Fox, was a beautiful New Thought writer, in his book, Sermon on the Mount, said this about the Lord's Prayer. He wrote, "The Lord's Prayer was carefully constructed by Jesus with certain very clear ends in view. That is why, of all of his teachings, it is by far the best known and the most often quoted. Undoubtedly, everyone who is seeking to follow along the way that Jesus led should make a point of using the Lord's Prayer and using it intelligently." Ernest would love that, and using it intelligently. Well, we in Science of Mind absolutely follow the way of Jesus. We very much believe that Jesus was the way shower. We often refer to him as the way shower. He came here to show us, by example, who we are, and 2, how to work in harmony with the spiritual law of life. He came to lead by example. And I love this, I love the whole chapter in our Science Mind textbook it's called Finding the Christ. It is an amazingly beautiful chapter in our textbook. But I love this piece out of that chapter. It's page 359 for those of you who like to follow along. We do not believe that in the unique personage of Jesus, the Christ was more... Let me start that again. We do believe that in the unique personage of Jesus, the Christ was more fully orbed than in any one of whom we have record. We do believe that in the person of Jesus, more of God was manifest. We also believe that Christ comes alike to each of us. There is no one particular man predestined to become the Christ. We must understand that Christ is not a person, but a principle. It was impossible for Jesus not to have become the Christ, as the human gave way to the divine, as the man gave way to God, as the flesh gave way to spirit, as the will of division gave way to the will of unity. Jesus, the man, became a living embodiment of the Christ. If we can look upon Jesus from this viewpoint, we shall be able to study his life as a living example. So this month, we are going to explore the prayer that this man, this living example, this way shower, gave us this powerful prayer, truly a prayer of transformation. And one more quote from Emmett Fox about this prayer. He said, "The great prayer is a compact formula for the development of the soul. It is designed with the utmost care for specific purpose so that those who use it with understanding will experience a real change of the soul. The only progress that matters is the change of the soul. The mere acquisition of fresh knowledge received intellectually makes no change in the soul. The Lord's Prayer is essentially designed to bring about this change in the soul." So if you were here last Sunday, you'll remember that I talked about 4 phases of spiritual knowledge. Do you remember that? Yeah? Okay, 3 of you are shaking your head. That's it. Of course, then I said that in first service, and I had a lot of these, oh, yeah. And then I asked a question. They're like, oh, don't make me specifically answer a question about it. All right, so there is no chocolate. So what's the point? There's no motivation to answer. Yes, there's self-motivation. Okay, so quickly, as a review, 4 phases of levels, if you will, or phases of spiritual awareness. The first, come on, help me. What was the first phase? Oh, not the why me, buy me through. No, not that. No. Yeah, so when you hear some spiritual knowledge, the first phase of it is you're inspired by it. You're like, oh, wow, that was amazing. Yes, I got that. I'm gonna remember that. I'm going to live from that. And then in 2 minutes, we've forgotten it, and it's gone. But we're inspired. That's phase 1. Phase 2 is, see, you're going to do it even without chocolate. I love it. And I heard from Barbara, too. Yes, it's familiar. You hear it, and your mind goes, oh, yeah, I heard that before. Oh, yeah, I remember that now. And because if in that moment you could really use it, you're really glad to have heard it again. Like, oh, yes, I'm familiar with that, and I'm really glad to have heard that again, because right now in my life, it's relevant, and it's important that I hear it. Third one is, it's the deadly one. Yeah, it's the deadly one. It's, I'm bored. I've already heard that. I want to hear something new. And if you're there, that is a sure sign that, and this isn't critical, this isn't judgmental, it's just what is, that you've got it as head knowledge, but you do not yet have it as the 4th phase. The 4th phase is, we called it last week, spiritual knowledge. I think that's a very boring title for that, and I've thought about that and been in prayer about that this week, and I've come up with a new word for that, so I'm tweaking myself from last week. I wish I could go back and change that sermon, but I can't, but I'm going to do it today. Moving forward. That's going to be called mastery. You know, when we master an idea, we're not bored anymore when we hear it. Mastering it means I am living from it, and that's what Emmett Fox is talking about in that. He said that's the change of the soul. It's when we live it before somebody tells us. We're living it before somebody has to remind us of it. We're living it before we have to read it in a book. We live it because it is who we have become. Our soul has made a shift to accept that spiritual knowledge. And so if you are there with an idea, when you hear it, you don't get bored with it. You get excited to hear it because you have confirmation. You're just getting confirmation that, oh yes, right, I'm on the right track. And your brain goes to a time last week where you actually lived from that space. Do you get the difference? So I want us, really my intention and goal for 2017 as we're getting ready for it, is to move into that 4th phase of mastery, which of course fits very perfectly the 4 levels of spiritual growth, which we're not talking about today, but which are the why me, the by me, the through me, the as me. We'll do that again some other time, but they fit perfectly together. So I did all that, as a reminder, because I wanted to give you a new name for the last phase, and thirdly, and most importantly, because that's what Emmett Fox is talking about when he's talking about a change in the soul. And that's what this prayer is offering to us. Now, the Aramaic language, which was the language that Jesus spoke, like Greek, like Hebrew, like Arabic, there it goes, all of those languages have layers and levels of meaning. One word could mean like a bunch of different things. And so when those languages get translated into translation into English, there are lots of English words that could have been used. So therefore, there are a lot of different interpretations of the Lord's Prayer. Now, if we go to the Judeo-Christian Bible, we will read a specific one, and that's the one most of us know. But there are others that are rich and gorgeous. And so for 3 Sundays, we're going to be looking at different versions, different translations of it, all basically with the same meaning, but with some significant and exquisitely poetic and beautiful nuances. So to start this off, and I very much learned from first service that I need you, Dave, on this, because these did not land with as much enthusiasm as I had hoped they would, and I'm hoping in this second service they will land with a little bit more receptivity. But these are some examples of how the translations of the Lord's Prayer can happen and how the meaning can get a little bit messed up a bit. And these are from little ones. So you may have heard this beginning of the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. You've heard that one, right? Ha, 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 yes. Okay. Or, they only get worse, so you got to come with me. You got to play with me on this. Or, our Father who art in heaven, how'd you know my name? I kind of like that one. I like that version. Give us this day our jelly bread. Have you heard, give us this day our jelly bread? Or someone said it this way, a little guy said it this way, give us this steak and daily bread. And forgive us our mattresses. I don't know what he thought that meant, but forgive us our mattresses. Excuse me. Or I really like this one. And forgive us our trash baskets as we forgive those who put trash in our baskets. That one actually does make sense, doesn't it? That one actually can have some metaphysical meaning right there, yes. One child thought a line toward the end was, this is where I need you, Dave. Lead a snot into temptation. And the little boy thought he was praying for his sister to get in trouble. Lead a snot, his sister. There you go. I just think that's hysterical. You guys just groaned. Okay, and the last one is, to finish it off, a little girl thought it went this way. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us some email. So these are the various ways that the Lord's Prayer can be and have been translated. We'll go someplace else today. We'll go a little bit deeper. Today, our translation, which is from 1st century Aramaic, begins with these words. O thou from whom the breath of life comes. Isn't that gorgeous? O thou from whom the breath of life comes. And before you hear it in the rest of it in English, I want you to hear the rest of it in Aramaic. So, here we go.
Avund bishmaya nitqadda shimuch tete malchutuch neve sawyanoch echanat bishmaya abara hallan lachman sunqanan yumana ushuklan khobain echanat abbachnan shuklan khayawain ulat allan nisyuna illa passan min bisha متلديلو هاي ملشوتا وخيلة وتشبختا العالم آمين آمين.
In the language of Jesus. So what that said was this. O thou from whom the breath of life comes, who fills all realms of sound, light, and vibration, may your light be experienced in my utmost holiness. Your heavenly domain approaches. Let your will come true in the universe just as on earth. Give us wisdom for our daily need. Detach the fetters of faults that bind us, like we let go of the guilt of others. Let us not be lost in superficial things. Let us be freed from that which has kept us off from our true purpose. From you comes the all-working will, the lively strength to act, the song that beautifies all and renews itself from age to age, sealed in trust, in faith, and in truth. Isn't that gorgeous? Isn't that gorgeous? Khalil Gibran says in The Prophet, what is prayer but the expansion of yourself into the living ether? And I think those words translate the self into the living ether. Now, I had several people in first service ask for that translation. So we will put that on our Facebook page. And if you're not a Facebook person and you won't go there for it, just shoot a little email to the office, and we're happy to send it out to you. But it will be there Tuesday. It will be there on Tuesday if you'd like to have that. So what I want us to do this morning, because I'm very called to make sure that you have an experience, not just me talking to you and at you, but I want you to have an experience. So I want to speak a little bit and share a couple of ideas, but then I want us to go into, and I want you to hear that prayer again, broken up with spaces in between, for you to experience it for yourself, and for you to move into a space of, what does this mean for me? What is this saying to me? Remember, Emmett Fox says this is a formula for the transformation of the soul. This is a formula for us to move into a deeper place of our connection, which is already there, but our conscious connection with Source. So I'm going to give you a chance to do that personally and on your own, because I can't say what that means for you. Only you can say what that means for you. But I have a few things I want to say first. So is that okay? Yeah. All right. So I'll say a couple things first, and then we'll have that beautiful experience. And I want to speak to the first two lines of it, because they, for me, just opened up in me something I know, and I am always wanting it to go deeper and deeper and deeper, so that I instantly come from it and not come from another place. And so it's the first two lines, which say, O thou from whom the breath of life comes, who fills all realms of sound, life, and vibration. May your light be experienced in my utmost holiness. There it is, right there. Were those not the first two steps in our spiritual mind treatment right there? Spoken a little differently, yes, but there they are. And I have often said in classes, I don't know that I've said it here, but I've often said in classes when we're teaching our 5-step spiritual mind treatment, that if we really got, lived from, had spiritual mastery of the first 2 steps, would we ever have to do the rest of them? No, because we would just know who we are, and whatever we needed, it would just open up and flow, and we wouldn't have to do. But until we get there, and that's all right. Jesus knew we weren't quite there, which is why he didn't stop the prayer at that. He continued it. But I want us this morning to deepen into those first 2 phrases, and then you'll have your own experience of the rest of the prayer. Eric Butterworth once wrote, Eric Butterworth is a beautiful unity teacher and minister and author. He wrote once, you may believe that there is a cosmic force that acts upon you, that guides you and heals you. Yeah, okay, I believe that. But in the principle of unity, you are not simply the creation of God, molded and shaped and set out on a path of life. No, you are the force or presence of God expressing itself as you. And you have no existence outside of this force or presence. And I love this last line, which is kind of a little, this is how it should be. The purpose of all religion should be to help people find this cosmic awareness of unity with God. And that is exactly what Jesus is saying in that prayer. May your light be experienced in my utmost holiness. There it is, right there. Right there it is. So when Lonnie and I were in New Mexico a couple of weeks ago, and you're going to be hearing a lot about this because there was so much that we gained from it, we went to a retreat called Cell, as in our cells, to soul. It was in New Mexico, and it was with Greg Braden, who if you've been around here for 2 minutes, you know that I kind of have a spiritual crush on him. I have had a spiritual crush on him for 15 years. My true crush, my real love sits here, and he knows the distinction that I clearly make. But I am spiritually, in love with Greg Braden. And I just think his work is like beyond anybody's. And if you are not familiar with him, well, you might want to get familiar with him. He's just amazing. So Lonnie and I spent 4 days in New Mexico with him. And it was an expansion of the retreat, the workshop he did here when he came to CLF in May of this year. So it was 4 days going deeper and deeper and deeper into what he presented to us. And he began that retreat the same way he began his day here with us. Now, I asked this last week, but I'm going to ask you again. How many of you were here for that day? Okay, so less than half of you were here for that day. So for half of you, or less than half, this will not be new, but it may be one of those where it was an inspiration at the time, but then it went away. I know it went away for me. For the rest of you, this will be very new. Greg started his lecture, both for this 4 days and for his time with us in May, with saying something very provocative, very, made us sit up and listen. He said, there is one question, the answer to which drives everything you do in your life. It drives your decisions that you make about relationships. It drives the way you interact with people. It drives the way you take care of your body and your health. It drives decisions you make for career and work. This one question, the answer to it drives everything in your life. And so it's a pretty important question. And it would be an important question to, get the answer right, wouldn't it? Right, quote unquote. And there actually is a right answer to this question. And I will add to that it's a question that, philosophers have asked for, millennia, and theologians have asked, and we have philosophical conversations about it. But this isn't a philosophical conversation. This is a conversation for you to ask yourself and to answer, because the answer that you give, and you're going to give one whether you do it consciously or not. So let's do a conscious answer, because it's going to inform and drive everything you do. And the question is a simple one. It is, who am I? Really, who am I? Your answer to that question permeates everything that you do. Now, Ernest Holmes said, we long to the day when science and religion, the first words of the Science of Mind textbook, page, I don't know what page it is, 20-something is the first actual page of the book. We look to the day when science and religion walks hand in hand from the visible into the invisible. That's what he said. So if we look at religion, the Judeo-Christian religion, we have the story of Adam, right? And Adam and Eve, and that's how man popped up, right? Then we have the story of science, which is Darwin's theory of evolution, that we evolved from, the little amoeba and then to the ape, and then to the Neanderthal, and then to the modern human. And they were very much apart, were they not? They were very much apart. Ernest says we look to the day when science and religion walk hand in hand. Greg, who is a scientist, who studies cutting-edge scientific research and brings spirituality to it, has shown us, and he showed us on that day he was here, and he showed us again deeper when we were with him a couple weeks ago, how that creation story and science is now coming back together, although science isn't yet acknowledging it. It's not yet being acknowledged. It's not being taught yet, what I'm about to tell you, which gets to this whole first two lines of Jesus' prayer, comes right back to this. So it's not being taught in schools yet, and for all sorts of reasons, Greg has asked professors and scientists, why aren't we bringing this out? And we have crazy reasons like, well, all the textbooks would have to be changed. No, I'm not kidding. Textbooks would have to be changed. Another one was, well, I've taught this for 25 years this way, and I'd have to redo the way I teach. I'm not prepared to do that. These are answers that are being given to why they're not changing what the science is now telling us. And here's what science is now telling us. Science is now telling us that we did not evolve like we think, like Darwin's theory actually is not, it didn't go far enough. It went as far as it could go with the knowledge that they had. But the knowledge that we have now says that we actually did not evolve from where we thought we evolved, from struggle and strife over millennia of time. Didn't happen that way. The way we know this is because there was in 1987 a preserved infant, Neanderthal infant, and we think we were evolved from Neanderthals, which evolved from apes, which evolved from da-da-da. A preserved enough body of a Neanderthal baby was found in 1987, and they DNA tested her, and her DNA is not the same. Close, very similar, but not the same. Science is now saying that we human beings, which are called AMHs, anatomically modern human, we walked the earth at the same time as the Neanderthal. And we just popped up. Science doesn't know from where. Well, okay, perhaps Adam and Eve, I don't know. We just happened to pop up with ourselves fully intact as we are now, but more than we know. We came into this human experience with the ability, many, many abilities that we didn't know we had. We've lost them along the way. We came in with the ability to have deep wisdom. We came in with the ability to have precognition, meaning knowing something's going to happen before it. You get little snippets of that now and again, don't you? And some people who are a little more plugged in can know, but we all have the ability to know. We came in with the ability to heal this body. We came in with so much more ability. We dropped in that way and have maintained it it was 200,000 years ago that they think AMH, anatomically modern human, came in. So who are we? Way more than we think. Who are we? We are the light of all, the breath of life that breathes life into everything. Breathe life into us, into our most holy self. I say that all the time here, do I not? I say it all the time. But I want us to master this idea. 2017, you're going to hear a lot of this because this is where we're going to go next year, is to master this idea of who we are so that we can stop talking about what Jesus did and start doing what Jesus did. Would that be something? Now, I've already walked on fire, but I have not yet walked on water. So I am looking to have that experience next. So I want to give you a brief analogy, and then we'll go have our experience. The brief analogy is that when we just get this as an idea, as a theory, as a notion, as knowledge, it's almost like, think about the difference between a cobweb and a web of steel cables. So if you've got a cobweb over here in the corner, and the wind, a hard wind comes along, what happens? That cobweb, right? It's gone. If we have this idea, these ideas I've been speaking of today, this idea that Jesus spoke of in his prayer, if we have it just as an idea, it's like a cobweb. And when the winds of life blow, which they will, it's gone. And we're knocked down. We're thrown about. Anybody ever been knocked down and thrown about and wondered what the heck was going on? Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. Right. Not me, no. That guy sitting next to me has done it, though. But if instead we build around us this cable, steel cable, and the wind comes along, is that thing going to get knocked over? No. It may flow a bit, but it's not going to get knocked down. So think about building, not around you, like not to protect you, but just that you are anchored on solid steel, a web of cable versus a spider web. That's what this prayer offers us. So I want us to move into this prayer now and to move into it in a way that is very personal to you. As we've gotten some new ideas, perhaps there was some inspiration here for you that I affirm moves into the fourth phase of knowing it in your being. But we're going to take those first two phrases, anchor in them, and then I'm going to read the rest of it, leave a little bit of space in between my sharing it, so you can ask yourself this question. What does that have to do with me? How does that apply to me? What is the message in that this morning for me? Because I can't say that. Only you can say that. So are you ready? Good. So if you would, close your eyes. And take a deep breath. And this prayer begins. O thou, from whom the breath of life comes, who fills all realms of sound, light, and vibration, may your light be experienced in my utmost holiness. So breathe that in right now. May your light be experienced in my utmost holiness. So that says, first and foremost, that you are holy. And that is an invitation to go deeper into the light of that holiness. And once you are there, the prayer continues. Your heavenly domain approaches. Let your will come true in the universe just as on earth. What does that mean for you in your life today? Let your will, let God's will come true in the universe just as on earth. Give us wisdom for our daily need. Detach the fetters of fault that binds us, like we let go of the guilt of others. What does that say to you? What does that mean for you? This next one is so incredibly powerful. Let us not be lost in superficial things. Let us be freed from that which keeps us off from our true purpose. What does that mean to you? From you comes the all-working will, the lively strength to act, the song that beautifies all and renews itself from age to age. And the prayer ends with sealed in trust, faith, and truth. I'd like to make that a personal statement. I seal this prayer in trust, in faith, and in truth. Could we say that together? I seal this prayer in trust, in faith, and in truth.